Arctic Monkey sound is a good sound,
Yeah.
absolutely, at times great sound. So I know there are fans out there saying it's amazing sound. Yes, I'm talking I like the Arctic Monkeys. I don't know if I'm a Arctic Monkeys fan, because if I'm a fan, that means I know all the albums. I would have told you that Humble was the third album.
Yeah.
I would have told you all that. I would have known that before you told me. But I'm really happy and eager to learn.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Into the Music. We are back again with another episode, and I am here with Greg, our fearless leader. How are you, sir?
Fearless. I'm doing well. I don't know if I'm fearless. I'm afraid of everything.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. What a compliment.
Good thing, man.
Hey, what do you got for me? You got something good?
Yeah, well, it's something familiar very much to me and becoming more and more so with you throughout the history of this channel, but it's a band very, very near and dear to me. Sort of got me here in the first place, and that is Arctic Monkeys.
Yep. We talked about it.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, that being said, I've got a bit of a B-side. It released with a single off the album Humbug, and so it's off the single EP for a song called Cornerstone, and the name of this particular song is called Fright Dining Room.
Okay. And Humbug, you're not going to give me like the year, right? Because normally, don't give me the year and stuff like that. Because I do want to, it's funny because Humbug, that's not something that I'm familiar with. So I do wonder what year.
If I'm not mistaken, Greg, I think it's the only album by theirs from which a song does not appear on your channel having been reacted to.
Okay.
So that's sort of why, and I wanted to pick a B-side because if we ever start messing around with albums, it might be on my list. So I like the idea that we haven't done anything from the album, and this isn't even from the album proper. Like I said, it's just a B-side.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. I'm intrigued. I mean, I'm normally intrigued by this band anyway, but now I'm really super intrigued. All right. So here we go. I'll dive in. I'll come back.
Cool. See you on the other side.
Okay. Interesting start. Oh, the guitar is killer. That has such a good sound to it. Wow. Interesting song. Interesting sound. It's Arctic Monkeys. It's not frenetic. It's not in your face. I mean, I think this is older stuff, right? And yeah, is this off their first? No, it's not off their first album, right? The first album was like frenetic. Almost every song was almost. Wow. And let me bring it back a little bit. I'll try to shut up the rest of the way, but this is interesting. But that guitar is just beautiful. Love it.
Like a sachet of breath. The old pantomime villain follows my coat, and he hides where it hangs, and he spies through the slats. And meanwhile in the desert's only costume shop, the cowls hang and wait to rot away the identities of the willing.
Cool. Love it.
Swans like to sugar in the night, rocketing shutter doors despite the shop not opening for hours. You can itch, flap and whistle and try to avoid the talk. As I scribbled over dribble, you were snoring, showing up.
Oh, this is hard.
The tumble splits the fray, revealing silken fits in the fright-lined dining room. Throw a gaze towards them while they feast.
Oh, that requires multiple listening. Absolutely. Wow, what an interesting. So, I mean, this sounds like older Arctic Monkeys. Turner's voice sounds so good. That guitar is so good. But, it's the usual suspects too, with the bass and the drums, right? So the rhythm section is just it's really good, but it's different. I mean, especially I would say 75% of the song, it was kind of more of a heavier type sound, not as frenetic as I associate early Arctic Monkeys with, right? Um, but then it kind of got really hard though, like right towards the end, like right as it was approaching the 3 minute mark. I just, after that kind of musical interlude, and he's singing again, but then it just got hard. It really did. This is really interesting. All right, let me get with Andy. Let's talk about this. This is cool. Hey,
Hey, you're
you.
back.
I got a bone to pick with you
What's that?
because you really throw me off here with that song. So listen, some videos that we've used in the past on this channel, uh, the the people who create those videos will sometimes use photographs of bands, artists that look younger or older than the time that the song actually appeared. So like, there's been times where I've seen like a picture of a band and I'm like, oh my God, they look so old, and like, this must have been like 2019. Oh, it was 1982. So it's like, so it
Right.
throws me off. So when I saw the photo on that video, right, I'm like, man, they're young. They're super young. I couldn't even tell like where Turner was in the photograph. And then I heard the song, and the song sounds super. I would say it's definitely the early days, but that album, which has a big long name, and I should actually recite it for you right now. That has all their great big hits. I think it might be their first album, but now I'm thinking maybe not. I'm totally thrown because this sounds like a really early sound, almost done. But I'm putting myself out there right now, right? I'm putting myself out there. I'm saying, hey, this is an early sound. This is coming from their early days, not their later days. And so tell me when this was.
I believe this was 2009. So this is 3 to 4 years into their existence. This is off their third album. Their first album that you're talking about is Whatever People Say I Am. That is what I'm not.
Right.
Yes. And then they came out with another album, which is Favorite Worst Nightmare. And then their third album, which was the first one recorded in the States and with a new producer, was Humbug, this album.
Okay.
So yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the image, I'm not the one that reacted to it. I gave it to you a while ago. This is longer hair, like they all have longer hair. Yeah, this is when they all grew their sort of hair out and did their they worked with Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age and came to America and did their recording and stuff, and were in the American Southwest in LA. And
see, I don't know enough about the band, right? Okay, I'm really around that first album, the one that I don't know the name to.
It's a long one, man. It's a long one. So
it's a long one, but I mean, we've done so many songs. You would think I would remember that. So yeah, but anyway, but to the music, yeah. So, but you would still consider this early Arctic Monkeys, the fact that they've been around for so long.
Yeah, and critics, yeah. I mean, it's almost middle of their current album, discography, sort of around the middle, but it's the early middle. So you're not wrong. And again, only a few years after their first album. So they, at this point, you would have thought not a lot had changed, because the first two albums, while a little bit different, were pretty close. This was their first real divergence, but this B-side that didn't make the album, to me, conjures thoughts of previous albums. Like the freneticism, the guitar work was less quiet and more and less open and more like, frenetic. And I think that's what took me back to the previous albums, that sound quality in the guitar.
But that's why I was so like, I came on like a gangbusters, like, you tell me, because I was totally thrown, because the music itself, it seems different than the first album. But then seeing the band, that photo, I was thinking maybe it's an earlier, maybe actually that wasn't the first album. Maybe there's something earlier, and this sound, because it's different. And now you're saying it's the third album. It does now seem to take that step towards, because I've heard a couple of other things, in the later years. That guitar is really interesting. The sound on that guitar, the tone is so good. It's beautiful, actually. It's really good. But it's not, as I mentioned on, in the reaction, I stopped saying it's not frenetic, and that's the thing was throwing me, because it sounded still like early Arctic Monkeys, but it didn't have that frenetic type of sound that, I really associated
it's not a
with
constant
them back then.
frenetic nature. Like some of their songs are start to finish. This one has glimpses of it with some of what the guitar does, but it's not a consistent the whole way through, like a lot of whatever people say.
Actually, about 2 minutes or so in, the song's established, the melody, the rhythm, the whole thing. Then it started to be like, it started actually becoming a little more harder, with the sound. So that was interesting. But yeah, I wrote heavier sound for the early stuff. The music interlude was so good, that was great. And overall, I couldn't really pick up what he was singing, because I think I was really, really focused in on the music. Sounds like, early into the music days when Chris and I would really talk more about, it was really the music we were getting into. Then we would get like absolutely just, crucified. You weren't listening to the lyrics. It was like the most profound, amazing. I don't know if he's singing anything profound, amazing, but you let me know. But it was really the music that I was immersed in. And so overall it was thumbs up. I don't know, it's not one of my favorite Arctic Monkey song, but I think it's because the sound is a little different. And I think it definitely requires like another listen or two. This is one of those where it's not an amazing knock me over first reaction, you got me. It's more like, I like the Arctic Monkey sound overall, anyway. And I'm always like, something that I'm not sure about, I'm going back and I'll listen to it again. And again, until I'm like, okay, I'm done. Or it's actually in me, it's totally, it's got me. And all of a sudden it's like, it's on a playlist. So I'm not sure yet, but yeah, overall good.
Cool. As far as the lyrics go, it's kind of interesting. This is, again, I bring up, this is the first time they recorded in the States. I believe at the time he had a girlfriend who he was away from. And the song, I think at the heart of it is about him grappling with that, with the being separated from his then love, and kind of, going through maybe some not so healthy ways of dealing with that. So the song starts off, "You thrive on dancing in our laps before the more familiar chaps who know the curtain leads to fever." So obviously it starts off with them in a strip club, right? And he's trying to like pass his time and yearning that way through that sort of vehicle.
Okay.
We watched the womanizer cry in the last sip. You and I declared that we might require a breather. I am truth's true truant. I can feign excitement fluently as solid as I can busk shock. And so he's definitely still in the strip club, but he's saying like, I can require a breather. Meanwhile, all the regulars in the place are like, being gross and lascivious regulars of a strip club. And he's sort of observing that. So I think it's a Fright line dining room, right? Like these men feasting with their eyes and like girls that are weirded out by them performing for them is kind of this metaphor that he's conjured up here. He's a really brilliant lyricist with the way he
Fright line dining room. Because I mean, up until just now, I'm like, where did he get the name of the song from? That is, that really is brilliance. I mean, how do you just come up with that? I mean, not you, him, but
no, absolutely, all credit to him. And his cadence and delivery in this is very fast, and you have to keep up with it. And there's all these big words, and he's it's a really interesting way of delivering, I think, vocally.
That's what was familiar, that kind of cadence, because you get that in his other songs too, especially early on. In fact, even the later ones too, he has that, I guess his later songs, a lot of them, it's kind of slowed down, a little more space. But, every once in a while, he would kind of, he just has that natural ability to kind of speed up, slow down. And when he speeds up, it just is, it's amazing how everything just still flows, but like, nothing crashes in. Everything is like, it's still steps, you're still following along with him, it's really interesting with his cadence, his delivery style.
It is. And it could be, like you said, like if you can't latch onto it, it can be difficult to keep up with because it's just moving really fast and you always have to go back and give it another listen.
But he accentuates certain words with the way he enunciates and all like that. And really, I think that's what like sort of helps, in the way he kind of certain words and he goes high, low, and all like that. Very dramatic, right? He's a dramatic singer too.
He is. It's a level of performance in and of itself, the delivery, not just the voice that comes with the delivery. So and Tumble splits the frame, revealing silk and fits in the Fright line dining room. Throw a gaze towards them while they feast. So it's again him observing like the tumble splits the frame, like so the woman coming out revealing silk and fits. So they're scantily clad and the guys are having fits. These dudes in the Fright line dining room, they throw gazes while they feast. And the days drag their heels when you're not here to crack the whip. I think this is when he's now talking to his girlfriend. Like the days seem longer when you're not here to help speed things up and make it seem like it's going by quickly. And the weeks wait to burst like a sachet of brats. The old pantomime villain follows my coat, and he hides where it hangs, and he spies through the slats. And meanwhile, in the desert's only costume shop, the cows hang and wait to rot away the identities of the willing.
This is poetry. This is poetry.
And he's talking about the desert. He's in the Mojave Desert right now. This is where they're recording this album. So this is just his sort of observation of like these long days as he's spending them in the Mojave Desert, trying to pass time and get back to her. So I'm back to sugar in the night, which I assume is an allusion to cocaine or just anything that would keep you awake at night. Rocketing shuttered doors despite the shop not opening for hours. So he's up ready to do things when everyone else is asleep. You can itch, flap, and whistle and try to avoid the talk. As I scribbled over drivel, your snoring showing off. So he's like, you can flip and flap and whistle and try to avoid the ticking and the talk of time. As I scribble over songs I'm writing in the wee hours of the night. Meanwhile, you're somewhere else snoring, showing off. Like he's jealous of not being able to sleep. While the lover that he's, hung up on is out snoring, happily sleeping. And so, just a way that he's grappling with, I guess, separation that he's dealing with and separation anxiety and what comes with that. Again, pretty young dude, skyrocketing to fame, off in a new country with a big band, recording an album in an alien place. Lot to unpack.
I wonder about his bandmates, because these guys can really play it. You know, they can rock it.
Oh, Matt
Yeah.
Helder's on the drum was killing it in this song.
But you know, Alex, do they go, oh, here comes Alex with another one of his heavy songs? You know, like, you know, can't we just do like, you know, a 12-bar blues kind? Like, can't we just get into a rock? You know, just we got to. But it's amazing how so many of these songs are just come with these lyrics that are very sophisticated.
Yeah, they are, and
You
it's
know?
a lot of like images and allegories and metaphors that you have to sift through, and they're not literal, so they don't come to you, like the meaning doesn't come to you super quick. Like you have to like look it up and to help you like tie loose ends and stuff like that, which is kind of like a puzzle. So I like it. You know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's just that again, you know, the music that they put, I mean, a lot, and their music has evolved over the years. And so there are layers, you know, to their music, to the music. But it's still it's still like rock. It's rock music, you know. It's I mean, it's not, I don't know, you know, like I could see these kind of lyrics like being put to something that's like a more slow trip hop electronic kind of thing with all these layers and space and bounce and you know, you throw these real kind of, you know, poetry kind of things. I don't know. I just really, it's amazing how they marry these lyrics to the sound, and it works. It just works. You know. Again, it didn't. Out of all the Arctic Monkey songs that I've listened to so far, reacted to, this one is not one of those that like knocked me over and like, okay, it's on a playlist instantaneously. I need to go back, but it's good enough where, you know, because by this point, I mean, what we've done like 9. You know, and
at least,
at least, you know, and I've listened to some stuff on my own too. So Arctic Monkey sound is a good sound, you know, absolutely, you know, at times great sound. So I know there are fans out there saying it's amazing sound. Yes, you know, I'm talking from, you know, I like the Arctic Monkeys. I don't know if I'm a Arctic Monkeys fan, because if I'm a fan, that means I know all the albums. I would have told you that Humble was the 3rd album, you know. I would have told you all that. I would have known that before you told me. But I'm really happy and eager to learn. So, and this is really good. This is good.
Open-minded approach is awesome. You know, I totally dig that, and the honesty is the number one priority. So that's part of doing this whole thing. You know.
Yeah, man.
So that's cool.
All right, cool. I'm going to take us out and say, Andy, thank you for this. This is really good, and definitely got to line up more Arctic Monkey songs for me, man. Please. And in the meantime, folks, if you like this, hit the like button. That would really, really be nice. Would show us that you like the song and the reaction. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you, all of you, on the next episode of Into the Music.